course I would change my mind at the last minute, wouldn't I? Hi there. Welcome, everybody, once again to Cast Iron Wednesday. And of course, as I say every week, this is a tradition that a lot of these smaller YouTube cooking channels have been doing for the past several years and more. We do a cast iron video on Wednesday because it's fun, because it gives us an excuse to play with our cast iron, because it gives us an excuse to cook and make content and other fun things like that. But mostly, I think the fun really has more to do with it than anything else, because I've been doing this now on my channel somehow for going on 5.5 years, and I've somehow managed to survive doing these live videos almost every Wednesday. I can only say that I've been doing really whatever catches my eye. It's not like I have a set schedule for these, although I did plan this one sometime in advance, only because it's something special tonight. And that, of course, would be time to start preparing our corned beef. And that's why we did the cast iron discussion last week. And even though this is the beginning of the month, we are going to be doing some cast iron cooking, or at least some toasting and boiling tonight. Because after all, we only have just about 2 weeks now until St. Patty's Day, when, of course, it is time for our corned beef and cabbage. So all I can say right now is hello to everybody who has been kind enough to show up here this evening. We have a fair number of people who show up every week, and I'm very grateful for that, as always, as well as I love seeing new folks here on the chat, and I can only hope that you're interested enough that you might want to drop by and say hello. So hello to William Hurt, and hello Flash 1499. Hello to Clico and RT Scott and Kimberly Miller, and hello to Corey Clark and Pipgorn. And actually, okay, one last thing. I just realized, oh, drat, one moment. I did make a big mistake, didn't I? I chose the wrong microphone. Hold on one moment. Let me see what I can do about it. I did everything except that. Please don't tell me. I can't change this in midstream, can I? I can share screen. I can share the video, edit. Let's see if edit will allow me to change this. But I'm suspecting I may not be able to. Webcam. Drat. Oh, please don't tell me. It's always something, isn't it? Because I am pretty sure. Damn it. I think I'm going to actually have to stop this because I don't have the option of changing the microphone. Nuts. Okay. Yeah, the sound is good. Well, how good is the sound? Okay. Sound is good. Sound is good. Okay. All right. That's good. I'm thinking that the sound is probably coming from the webcam here that I'm using rather than from this microphone. And that, unfortunately, is my own fault because I did forget to select that. Well, it's always something, isn't it? Okay. Well, nonetheless, though. All right. Sound is good. Okay. All right. Well, actually, since I put the microphone a little further away, has the sound changed? If not, then I can definitely say we're using the webcam for the sound. Okay. All right. Anyway. Well, that's good. In that case, let's get going because, as I said, it is indeed time to prepare some corned beef. And what I've loved doing for at least the past 13 or 14 years or so is making corned beef from scratch because it's a lot of fun. It produces corned beef that's much better than what you get at the store. I mean, the stuff you get at the store is good, but this is quite simply better. And well, I do have personal reasons as well. In fact, it's because of the personal reasons I've made one last minute decision here. And that is, first of all, I'm actually going to have to take that cast iron pan that I've been preheating out of the oven and put a different one in its place, namely a number 10 size, BSR skillet. I've got to put that into the oven and at least preheat it a little bit. Whereas I take out the other pan that I had been preheating in the oven. There we go. And this one is, well, it still is my redneck skillet, the modern day lodge skillet. The reason why, okay, yeah, and I was prepared to be using this, but instead I'm using a bigger pan, and that's because a really good suggestion came in IM on Facebook Messenger a day or so ago from Jim Glatzhar, in fact, from one of the folks who visits this channel quite frequently, and he said in his message, each year when you toast these spices on the stovetop, you start coughing from all of the fumes and everything. So why not just simply toast the spices in the oven? And I said, great, let's give it a try. Yeah, I mean, less coughing for me sounds like a good idea. Okay. And hello as well to Val's Black Cat's Rules, and hopefully no chaos tonight, although I've already had a little bit. Big surprise there. Hopefully that's the worst that's going to happen tonight. However, as I mentioned, time indeed to start some corned beef, and that means we got to start preparing the spices and do a brine for our corned beef. For those who don't know, this essentially what we're doing is just that. This is really no different than what you do to prepare this is still hot, so I've got to be careful. Then when you prepare your Thanksgiving turkey, namely you brine it, especially to give it flavor, and as well as keep it nice and moist and all kinds of fun things like that. And the first thing I need to do is stop talking. The second thing I need to do is slice up some ginger, because that's what we'll be doing. I think I'll do that last, actually. Which means right now it's really no more difficult than just putting together, just as I said, some spices. So, all right, here we go. We start out with allspice berries. Allspice. Here it is. I just made a note that I may need to replenish these. The seasonings used or pickling spices used for making corned beef really does vary from one recipe to another. But it all gives the same general result. In fact, there are some people who don't use fancy spices like allspice and cloves and cardamom. They just simply use basic salt, pepper, and probably maybe, garlic and maybe some red pepper and to the like on their corned beef, and it still comes out just fine, because the important part is curing it. In my case, I do throw in a bunch of other things because I like the flavor of it, and this gives me an excuse to open up some mustard seeds. I was actually low on this. Fortunately, I had this, and that means I actually am going to have to get a container to keep these things. I get my whole spices, when possible, at foreign markets. This is 1 table of mustard seeds. These are brown mustard seeds. Like in this case, in my town, there is an Indian shop. There is a Chinese shop. And there's even a Jamaican shop. Those places are the best places to go to get authentic food, and as well as getting spices that are much better and cheaper than the stuff you get at Wally World in a local supermarket. It's also a good excuse to go to a foreign market, which is always a good thing. Okay, so we got that. Next we do coriander seeds. Yeah, I got this huge thing of coriander seeds, and I'll probably be working through this for the rest of my life, I think. Coriander. Then from here, 1 tablespoon of fennel seeds. And yeah, that's the other thing. It's like they apparently have no idea what a small size package is when it comes to some of these spices here at those foreign markets. This is probably enough fennel seeds to last me for the next decade or so. All right, so which means I'll need another container for this thing. It says here 1 tablespoon of fennel seeds. That's easy enough. And yeah, fresh spices give the flavor so much better, and that's also why I'm going to be toasting this as well. And why did I just get a pop-up? No, I'm not interested in antivirus at this moment. Okay. I'm sure I passed it and missed it 100 times. Oh, okay. We discovered that our food stores don't carry caraway or dill seed. Very aggravating. Yeah, this is one reason why going to local markets is foreign markets is a good thing. No dill seed though. Well, okay, dill seed, I suppose not. I suppose they have dried dill leaves. Okay, we've done that. Now we get some red pepper flakes. The red pepper flakes just came from Wally World because there's really no reason not to. For some things, I know you really should get the brand other than Wally World. However, for things like red pepper flakes, how can they dilute it or give it a different flavor? So there's no problem for me with getting at least that thing there. Now we go for the whole cloves. Things like whole cloves and cardamom and the like, that you definitely need to go to a foreign market for. Okay, whole cloves. And anyway, most of this is not going to go directly into the corned beef anyway. This is all just for the brine. Okay, whole cloves. Now we got a tablespoon of whole black peppercorns. I am constantly using my whole peppercorns. Okay. And yeah, as you can see, I'm really just doing it like about a tablespoon at a time, so there's really nothing difficult about this. Then from here, we do some cardamom pods, which this is definitely something you have to go to a foreign market for. In this case, black cardamom pods. I'm really not so sure what, oh yeah. The main difference between black and green cardamom pods is that the green ones are the kind that you grind up to use for actual fresh cardamom that you use in baking and other dishes. These black cardamom pods are apparently more used for exactly like I'm doing right now. You use them whole, and you definitely don't eat them. All right. And then from here, we've got some bay leaves. 6 large bay leaves crumbled. One last thing about going to a foreign market is that they give you the biggest bay leaves I've ever seen. And this should probably be more than enough right here, in fact, because when they talk about bay leaves, I don't think they talk about these giant things here. Crumbled it is. Let me put the cover back on this thing. And now from here, 2 cinnamon sticks. And the thing about cinnamon sticks, of course, is that they do need to be broken up if you can. So try to do this without getting it all over the place. Oh yeah, I can smell that just from breaking it. Oh boy, this is going to be a little more difficult than I thought. All right. Okay. Well, 2 cinnamon sticks it is. The smell is something else. And now finally, here's where I have to cut up some fresh ginger. So, dig out my knife quickly. And since, again, this ginger is not going into the food, I'm not even bothering to peel it. The important part, of course, is that it's fresh. That should be enough. Put this aside so I don't have an accident with it. Put this away so that it will go into the fridge. And voila! we have the spices for our corned beef. Now comes the part where, as I mentioned already, I'm going to be toasting these spices. And yes, this is going to be my first time. I'm simply going to just simply toast them in the oven so that I can avoid getting into a huge coughing fit. And the main reason why, that is why, again, I took out this smaller pan. I was going to use this one to toast the spices, but that would mean just simply moving them all around in the pan. Here, I want to get as much surface space as possible. So really, at the last minute, I'll just take this, I'll put this aside, probably put it on the stove top. At the very last minute, I decided instead to use a bigger cast iron pan. Where did I put the cover for these scissors? Well, I'll find it. And so that means we get to break out a BSNR number 10. Which at least I've been able to heat up a little bit. The oven is simply set to 350 degrees. Try to spread this out. Oh, good. I can hear it hiss or sizzle. So at least we were able to preheat the pan a little bit. But what I want to do again is try to spread these out, get as much exposed surface space as possible. Can smell it already. Yay, cast iron. And with that, go into the oven. We're only supposed to do this for like about 15 minutes or so. So, in we go. All right, and that is step number 1. Yay. Okay, so from here, oh, that's good. Now we actually have some time. Love to have those bay leaves. Yeah, exactly. Those bay leaves came from a foreign market. I'm pretty sure it's that Indian market that I have in the area. India, as in India, the country, that is. So, I mean, really, if there is a foreign market in your area and you haven't given it a try, I would definitely say to go in there and browse if and when you can, because there are so many great reasons. Besides being able to find spices like this, you're almost guaranteed to find something weird at a foreign market, and not necessarily something that'll gross you out either. I mean, yes, it's true at the Chinese markets, for instance, they do sell things like ox penis, and I'm not kidding. They sell whole ducks with the head and other fun things like that. But they also sell things like the biggest carrots I've ever seen. The carrots that they have at Chinese markets are the size of tree branches. That is incredible. They also sell a daikon radish. Those of you who are familiar with the daikon radish will know what I'm talking about. It's a radish that is like about 12 inches long or so, instead of just small and circular. The taste of a daikon radish, I think, is maybe very, very slightly milder than an American radish, too, and I like it. My BSNR number 10 is on my stovetop from braising pork tenderloins 2 days ago. So just so I can look at when I pass by. Ooh, yeah, exactly. Cast ironitis. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. All right. And let me see what else we have here in these comments here. Yeah, gumbo. Yeah, those bay leaves would probably make a great gumbo, no doubt about that. My brother plants coriander and uses the greens too. You are better than I am. A couple of my friends actually planted some spices in my yard here for me to harvest. Things like basil, for instance. And so far, I have ended up seeing it be overrun with weeds. So I don't know how successful that turned out to be. All right, pull it together. Yes, they have dried dill weed, not quite the same. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're at that market. Okay, still going here. And good evening as well, Hobo Cook. All the side chat. Well, yes. I mean, it seems like these well, for a couple of reasons. These live videos here, I do find it give me a chance to run off my mouth and say whatever comes to mind. But also, I am a believer in the idea of when you do live radio or TV, one of the worst things that can happen is dead air, pure silence, because that kind of ruins the excitement. And so that's one reason why I try to have as little dead air as possible on my live videos here. So I saw a whole brisket on sale for $5 something a pound. Is that a good deal? These days, like it or not, I would say that is a great deal. Because, as you know, the price of everything has skyrocketed, especially beef, even to the point where up until this year, I used to go out and get myself a 15-pound brisket, and it usually cost me maybe about $60 or so if I was able to find it on sale. This year, I've had to, actually, I might as well bring it out now. There's a good excuse for it. This year, I had to compromise a little bit. Let me get this out of the fridge right now. Yeah. And settle for a 10-pound brisket. Well, actually, it's 9.8 pounds, so almost 10. And this stupid thing was $9 a pound. So, yeah. And this was about the cheapest brisket I could find in my area, too. So, like it or not, I had to bite the bullet. Why? Because I promised corned beef. And also because this is really something of a special occasion as well. So, even though it was something of an investment, I don't feel like I'm going to regret it. My sister grows bay leaves in California. They're very spicy when fresh. Ooh, I'd love to try fresh bay leaves if I ever have the chance. So if you actually manage to find a whole brisket at $5 a pound these days, I'd have to say that's probably about as good a deal as you're going to get. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you find a better deal. Well, on the other hand, this beef brisket is supposed to be entirely flat, so there's not going to be any point in my corned beef this year. So that's something to consider. I had better stir those spices. Let me get that back out. Okay. Because we don't want these things to burn. So supposedly, oh yeah, look at this. I can already see some smoke coming off of it. So, and there's some smoke too. I'm going to try not to cough this time. But I think I'm going to go maybe just another few minutes on this. And then that should be sufficient. All right. William Hurst and Hobo Cook. That's right. Too rich for my blood. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, this is not the type of thing I go out and get every weekend. No way. I am a budget shopper. And when I saw the cost of this and I really saw I didn't have any other choice, the other option back when in the pandemic when I simply could not find brisket at all, the other option for making corned beef is you don't have to use brisket. About 3 or 4 years ago, in fact, I actually got a different kind of roast. I forget what I wrote. I forget which cut of beef I used. It might have been top round or sirloin or something like that. And I corned that. I made corned beef from that cut of beef, and it still turned out great. So. And maybe I should, and given these prices, maybe I should have considered that this year. Well, I've got it now, so I've got a brisket. However, if you feel that brisket is too expensive now, go ahead and get a different cut of meat or beef for your corned beef. In fact, I remember somebody commented on these live videos once, said he was going to make corned venison. for his corned beef and cabbage. And I thought that sounded pretty darned interesting. So I would say, you don't. Maybe it was chuck roast. You probably remember it better than I do. I mean, I'm doing these things every week here and making these other videos. So unfortunately, they all kind of blend together. And I don't have exact memories of that. But okay, then let's say it was a chuck roast. But there's one possibility. If you feel the brisket is too expensive, don't get brisket. Get a different cut of meat and make your corned beef from that. Has anyone considered stealing? No. I think about it. I'm no thief, so I don't, but I kind of wish I had it in me, yeah. I'm only going to say that not too long ago, I was seeing somebody who did have a tendency. She didn't feel that there was any problem at all with walking out of Walmart with several items that kind of fell into her basket, but I'm not even going to get into there. I myself don't do that. I do my best to be honest, even maybe when it doesn't deserve it, such as in the case of Walmart, but I'm not even going to get into that subject. You have to live with yourself. Well, there is that. Oh, hello, Jim Glatar. I'm taking your advice and toasting these spices in the oven. Nothing really. Still waiting for the price to drop on a sukiyaki pan. I did the video on a while back. Price is still too high for something I won't use often, though. Still want it. Yeah, that's why they call it cast ironitis, definitely. Sukiyaki, or do you mean takoyaki? My wife has hundreds of pounds of iron. Oh, okay. Gary Fish. So you are blaming me for your wife catching cast ironitis. Well, I guess I will have to accept that blame, and I apologize for that. Nothing else, though. I'm hoping at least you've gotten some good food out of it, or good cooking, I should say. All right. Yeah, I buy pre-seasoned corned beef. All I do is cook it. And there's really nothing wrong with that either. That's the other thing. Especially since I hope they still do it this year, but especially since corned beef gets into decent, affordable prices around St. Patrick's Day. Back before prices exploded, I do believe I sometimes saw corned beef at like $2 a pound. I don't know if it'll go down that low this year, but I suppose it might be considered worth looking for. However, then let me say one other thing. Even if you get store-bought corned beef, use your own spices. Doesn't have to be what I'm making right now. Speaking of which, I should probably take that out of the oven now. All right. Nice. And yeah, this thing is smoking too. I think you can even see the smoke on the camera. But it does not smell burnt. So I think we are good. Jim Glatar, I used your suggestion. And look at this. I am not reeling over coughing this time. So, yay. Thank you very much for the advice. Now I can turn off the oven. And I better get these things out of this hot pan before they do burn. Let's see if I can, which is the other question, is can I do this without spilling or burning myself on this pan? Here comes the chaos, folks. Ouch. Already starting to feel the heat, but then again, this is a dollar store glove. Okay. Time to get out another glove. I picked up a couple of Winco oven mitts at my local restaurant store recently. So here's hoping this at least helps me to get this thing out of the pan. All right. Okay, so far, so good. And now that I've done this, first thing I'm going to do is separate these because now that we have our spices, there are two things I'm going to do. I better get a baggie. I will be right back. Here we are. Simple enough. Take about 1/3 of these spices, put them in this convenient Ziploc bag. And into the fridge. Yeah, that's right. Maybe. Yeah. And into the fridge this will go because this is what we're going to be using to cook our corned beef. Bam! We've got our spices for cooking the corned beef. So excuse me while I put this in the fridge. Now let me go back to saying what I was saying before. Even if you buy your own store-bought corned beef, there's nothing wrong with that. Use your own spices. Don't be satisfied with that little microscopic spice bag that comes with the corned beef. I mean, it's so much better to use your own spices and enhance your corned beef because the results will be fantastic. And you don't even have to use what I'm using here, like these coriander seeds and cardamom pods and all that. Just use whatever you want. You could, for instance, there are, of course, some people who will just simply do it with your typical barbecue rub. And, smother it in mustard, for instance, and then put the rub over it and then smoke it. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because what's most important is that you like it. Let it pop up here. Okay. Hello, I want a companion without commitment. Okay. Got my first tattoo of the year yesterday, Val. Not on my arm, not paying attention. You got to respect that iron. Oh, that kind of tattoo. Yes, an iron tattoo. Yeah, I know that feeling as well. I still have this little mark on my arm. Where is that? From when I accidentally brushed against Stumpy last November after I was making that giant cookie. This skillet is going to smell for a while. Yes, it is, and I like the smell. It is a nice smell because these spices didn't burn. All right, voice costing the money that could be used for cast iron. I bought a corned beef last year and added more spices. What a great idea. Well, thank you very much, Radagast, even if, whoever's idea that was. But yes, that's just it. Spice up your corned beef and you will not regret it. However, now that I've gone this far, time to start going for part 2, and that is the brine. So now we get to head over to the stove. Yay. Where, as you can see, I'm not using cast iron this time. Nope. That's because I'm going to be making a brine and boiling water for it, which means I get to use my aluminum Dutch oven. Which, as I've said enough times that you're probably tired of it, I find these aluminum pots to be the best water boiler I've ever used. So I'm quite happy to be using it here. All right. I bought corned beef last year and added more spices to cook it in. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. That means I'll have to hold up for a moment again because get this out of the way. Just because I need to get about 3 quarts of water. So I just need to fill that up right now. Come on. Ugh. Always something. Yeah. Okay, and this is what I get for getting a Rubbermaid rather than a cheap dollar store jug. Okay, that worked. Yay. Okay. We've been using cast iron over 30 years, and I found the unusual looking pan, so I had to research it to find out what it was. Suki pan is like skillet with no handles and shallow. Oh, I see. That's interesting. I can say I'd never heard of that one either. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some pictures of it. Not being mean spirit when it comes to marriage, but very cautious. I don't blame you at all because I was married and I'm not married now. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay. Here comes. Well, this is liters, so I've got a little more than 3 liters of water here. Turn on the heat. And away we go. Now, that means we get to start adding the ingredients for our brine. Oh, yeah. I also have some ice in the freezer so that when this is done, I'll be able to cool this thing off, and we should be able to get that brisket into the brine by this very evening before this video is done. Okay. All right. Now, here we go again. Two cups of kosher salt. While we're waiting. Okay, this aluminum pot I've mentioned several times, and I've actually used in a few videos. This is actually a made in Switzerland aluminum pot with a brand called Supermade Cookware. And I do believe they copied the Wagner design when they made this thing. I mean, it's not an exact duplicate, but it's close enough. There's one. Apparently, they were one of a number of companies, Supermade Cookware. This, again, comes from Switzerland. A number of companies at that time actually made this aluminum cookware. I'm just about out of kosher salt. Good. This aluminum cookware, and imported it into the United States where they were sold door to door. Because in the early 20th century, door-to-door salesmen were a very busy and big industry. Am I out? I think I'm out, in fact. All right. So, let's do this. And I had never heard of Supermade Cookware until I came across this pot. So yeah, I thought it was a Wagner, in fact, when I found it at the flea market. So I was actually quite pleased, to find that it wasn't a Wagner, largely because come on. Okay, because I was glad to have something I had never heard of before. Yeah. How hard is it? Yeah, there we go. Good enough. And that takes care of that kosher salt. So I'm going to have to replenish this. Okay. All right. We've been using, hello, sounds cool. Well, thank you. What are you making tonight? I am actually making a brine tonight so that we'll be able to brine our corned beef. And I have finished toasting the spices already, Doety Man, and we are moving on to the next step, which is the brine itself, the liquid. So far, I've just added 2 cups of kosher salt. Then from here, half a cup of brown sugar. This brown sugar is starting to get petrified here, which means it's definitely time to replace it after this. And from this, okay, now comes the controversial part. Curing salt. Pink curing salt. And those of us who know anything about curing know why this is the controversial part, because of the nitrates or nitrites in it. All I know is that I don't I try not to use too much of this, and I'm measuring out a total of 4 teaspoons, in fact. These, the curing salt, of course, was originally, that's 3, and here comes 4. Curing salt, naturally, was the real preservative. This is what they used in meat, and this was the real whole reason why they had things like corned beef, in fact. Back in the days before refrigeration, when they were inventing all kinds of really clever ways to preserve meat and other foods, so that they don't spoil. One of which was curing the meat. And so that's what curing salt does. Essentially, it keeps it from spoiling, just that. They throw in spices as well to add flavor to it, which is a bonus. But that was the main thing. Also, it's the curing salt that gives the corned beef a pink color. If I did not use that curing salt, it would turn out to be completely gray. It would still taste fine, but of course, people are used to things, and if the corned beef isn't pink, a lot of people might shy away from it. Okay. Stir all this in and dissolve it. Of course, that's the whole point of bringing it to a boil, to help it dissolve. Let me see, what else? Besides that, okay. Oh yes, and from here, get to throw in our other spices. There we go. Still hearing a scraping sound, so that means the kosher salt has not completely dissolved in the water, but when it comes to a boil, that helps. And actually, I'm going to be increasing the amount of liquid too, because once this has been boiling for a little while, I'm going to throw in a bag of ice to chill it. Okay, and now the lid. This is why I thought this was a Wagner when I first got this pot, because this design, this sawtooth design, is what made me think it was a Wagner. One nice thing this does have that American Dutch ovens don't is the lid itself has a little divot here, which means it locks on very nicely here. That's one reason why, even though it's not a Wagner or anything like that, I'm actually quite happy to have this, and I fully intend to be using this for, the rest of my life if I can. Okay. All right. Nice piece of aluminum. Well, thank you very much, Jim Glathar. Yeah, I kind of hope that someone shows up, once in a while. Whenever I pull out an aluminum pot, even on these live videos, once in a while somebody shows up and starts saying, you shouldn't use aluminum because it causes Alzheimer's. And I'm not going to get into that yet again. I've made a number of videos about the fact that aluminum is safe for cooking and it does not cause dementia or Alzheimer's. And I'm not going to go into detail about that. Excuse me. Sorry. Not unless somebody starts arguing about it, and hopefully that's not going to happen. Still, this thing's got a nice bail to it. This is already getting hot. Does it show? Yeah, it's got. This bail, unlike the ones we see on American Dutch ovens, this bail is completely circular, and it completely, as you can see, there's no chance of this bail coming off. So yeah, I really like the design of this thing. Curious how much they sold these things for when they sold them door to door. I might actually have to look this up. Yeah, the pour spout is nice, definitely. So yeah, I definitely do consider this to be a really good score as a result. I'm doing my best to get a lot of use out of it. This is why, even though I have my huge stove enamel Dutch oven, several times I have made big pots of pasta sauce in this pot, and I've liked the results too. Anyway, collecting cast iron causes old timers disease. Yes, because you get it for how many you have. Yes, exactly, old timers disease, which can be another word for cast ironitis. All right. Anyway, those are the tips that I've said tonight, and I can only hope that people find this advice useful. Things like you don't have to use brisket when you make corned beef. You could always use a different, cheaper cut of meat, such as chuck, for instance. And otherwise as well, again, even if you do buy your own corned beef, use your own spices. Like that, I cannot recommend highly enough. Yeah. Just like some things I've mentioned about doing with Thanksgiving turkey. With Thanksgiving turkey, always, always, always use a cooking thermometer and you will not regret it. For corned beef, always, always, always use your own spices and you will not regret it. I left a comment on one of your videos with info to see the Suki pan if you want to take a look. Yes, I would definitely like to do that. So I'll have to check that out once this live video is over. But I mean, at this point, all we're really doing is waiting for this to come to a boil. Oh, good. At least this one is cooled off enough that I can hold it and I'll be able to put it away. I was going to be using the this one here, this modern day lodge here. Personal reasons for it, not the least of which is, quite frankly, it was a wedding present. And so that kind of makes it personal in a number of ways, not to mention the fact that March 17th has personal reasons for as well that I will not go into, in addition to being St. Patrick's Day. I think I'll keep this level and not cause any controversy by simply saying that, this, of course, I've mentioned before that this particular piece of cast iron was the first cast iron pan I'd ever owned. It was given, as I said, as a wedding present. And I learned how to cook in cast iron with this pan. And yet somehow I managed to survive my abuse and is not even warped, unlike the wok, which I did warp. But then, as I said tonight, this one is still a little warm even now, although it doesn't burn me. I decided to go instead with the BSNR number 10 skillet, Birmingham Stove and Range. It's been a little while since I mentioned this. Birmingham Stove and Range, those who know that BSNR know that the Century series, after they went into automated production in the 1960s, that's when they started putting the exact measurements on their pans. And yet there's an interesting thing about this, is that this one actually says 12 7/16 inches, which is different from the original measurement of the pan when they first started producing these, 12 5/8 inches. And best reason I can come up with for this is that means that this actually probably comes from the later 1970s, when BSNR did in fact adjust the size on a number of their pans. However, if this was in the later 1970s, why does it not have a Made in USA mark on it? So I've used this pan as proof that BSNR did not put a Made in USA mark on every single one of their pans. They were, in fact, producing their pans, some of them without a Made in USA mark, all the way up until when they went out of business. So, I originally spread some incorrect information about cast iron in the Made in USA market, and I've been taking steps to correct that. All right, corned beef and hash. Oh yeah, corned beef hash from leftover corned beef is so much better. Less sodium also. Also try the Trader Joe's Dijon mustard from Dijon, France. It's by the best Dijon mustard. Nice, perfect for corned beef. Ooh, that all sounds good. You need to make extra for corned beef sandwiches. Well, this is going to be a 10-pound brisket, so I would say there's certainly going to be extra here, and I'm quite happy about that. It means I'm just going to have to work my way through this corned beef, the way I've been working my way through these pork loins. On my carnivore diet. So I definitely intend to use up this entire brisket, especially considering how much I paid for it. Okay, our BSNR number 10 Century has nice swirlies, really nice. So you've got some good mill marks on that. Ooh, glad to hear it. Collectors like those. They are very attractive. All right, I have never made corned beef, but I might try it this year. Well, as you can see, Kimberly Miller, the only real hard part about making your own corned beef is getting the spices. Namely, you've got to do things like visit a foreign market to be able to pick up some of those spices. Although, again, it depends on what you want to use for spices in your corned beef. You could, for instance, just use the usual. Namely, you could use peppercorns. You don't even have to use whole spices. You can use the powdered stuff because it's all going to just simply mix into the brine. So even that might help in your search. In which case, then we're talking like peppercorns, mustard, cinnamon. Those are easy things that you can get from the store. And I said this a few minutes ago as well, the important part is okay, I'll go back again to curing salt. As I said, I'm using curing salt here largely to give this corned beef its pink color, because after all, I'm going to be brining this in the fridge. Since they've invented refrigeration, how long ago they invented refrigeration, you don't need to use things like curing salt to preserve your beef or meat or anything like that. And I learned, but I have not tried this yet, that if you want to give your corned beef a pink color, but do not want to use nitrates, you do not want to use curing salt, one alternative to that is to use beet juice, beet, B-E-E-T. And I'm told that if you mix about a quarter cup of beet juice into the brine, probably after you boil it though, probably after it cools off, that will apparently help to color the meat and give it a pink color. So that might be something to consider as well. Oh yeah, corned beef and hash. Yes, and I love corned beef hash. Corned beef hash is one of the things I make on a fairly regular basis. Although with my corned beef hash, I add things like spinach and mushrooms to it. But that's just me. Corned beef and hash is probably the first bubble and squeak, in that they likely had it long before they invented bubble and squeak. All right. We can live on pizza. Well, you can live on pizza, but who wants to? Pizza is delicious, yes, but I am not interested in subsisting on a diet of pizza, that's for sure. Worst I can do is mess it up, right? Then it's pizza. Yeah, I agree, but when you're cooking for one on a budget, I can make 2 meals very affordably. But yeah, all of this is definitely giving me more of a craving for corned beef too. I just have to remember that this is going to take 2 weeks. Technically, you only have to do this for about 5 days. Oh, good. Look, I think we are at a boil at this point. Yes, we are definitely at a boil. Okay, so that didn't take long. I mentioned already what a great water boiler this aluminum pot is. because here we are. All right, which means now that we've done that, actually I just need to let it boil for a little bit. And then after that, we will cool it off. So actually, I should probably put this back on, in fact, because, the whole point of the brine is the liquid. So, put this back on. There we go. However, this is not going to take too long, at least. All right. I'm back. Had a call. Okay. Yeah. Aluminum is the third best conductor of heat behind silver and copper. Well, I didn't know silver was a good conductor. I know copper is a good conductor, yes. And that, of course, is why copperware is so popular as well. But copperware is incredibly expensive, even more expensive than cast iron. All right, so because of that, we settle for aluminum, and I don't have a problem with that. Anyway, once we do this, it's really just we are just about done, because once this is done and I've cooled it off, all we have to do is put the corned beef into the put the brisket into the brine, and there we go. Okay. Yeah, this thing is boiling quite nicely. All right. Made a tunnel of fudge cake. Oh, you made a tunnel of fudge. It didn't work quite right, but was still good. Yeah, that's no surprise, Rocket Caver. And I am not criticizing when you say that. Tunnel of fudge is a difficult cake to make, largely because the inside of the tunnel of fudge is actually undercooked cake batter. That's where the actual fudge center comes from. I mean, you could just simply bake it all the way through and have yourself a fudge cake, and probably nothing wrong with that either. But I know when you make a tunnel of fudge, you want the tunnel of fudge, and I've got to keep practicing that as well. But even so, tunnel of fudge. Man, is that a rich cake too. I mean, if there's any cake that you could call death by chocolate, it would certainly be that one. Wonder who the person was that decided what spices to use in corned beef. Well, that's why it differs from one to the other. I would have to say that when they first started doing this, they just used whatever spices they had on hand. And since I'm not sure where corned beef first came from, if it came from England or somewhere else in Europe. Yes, I know corned beef and cabbage actually comes from New York City, but corned beef itself, I would have to say, would probably come from Europe. So they would have used, again, common spices that they use in Europe, although, of course, imported spices were quite common as well, at least if you were rich. All right. And that's probably why we see spices like allspice, for instance, in this corned beef, or cloves, both of which are fairly common. The cardamom, I'm not so sure. That would almost certainly have to be imported. All right. Let us do this. Turn this down. Put the cover up. And it's still boiling, of course, even though I've turned the cover off. But this is where we get to tell this to chill. Yeah. Come on, always something. Here we go. I specifically used less than a gallon of water for this particular brine so that I could add a fair amount of ice to it, like right now. Carefully. Oh, come on. Why is it always something? Let's do that again. There we go. That's a little better. Take two. Try not to splash it. There we go. And yay, it's a good thing that aluminum is a ductile metal too. I'm sure if this was cast iron, the thermal shock of all that ice could possibly crack it. So there we are. This should help cool down the brine to the point where we could probably get the, oh yeah, definitely. Well, just mix it around a little bit more. That ice has already melted. So that was definitely a rolling boil, that's for sure. Nice. Okay, now that we've done that, here I go again. Let's put this aside. Let's put this other pan over here. Get this out of the way as well. And it's time to move back here to the table or counter. Okay, we will be seeing more of this in just a minute. Right now, let's move it to the side. Room, there we go. Okay, because now, extra spices that spilled. Throw that out. It is time to dig out a bucket. And here is the part where this is really pretty much the same, doing the same thing that you would brine a turkey. And in fact, that's why I just use a turkey bag to brine it. Well, actually, this is going to be my first year where I do not slice the brisket up. When I was using a 15-pound brisket, I would regularly slice it into thirds, 3 5-pound chunks of meat. Made it very convenient for preparing that way. This time, I'm not going to do that. This time, I'm just going to put the whole darn brisket in, just the same way you would put a turkey into the brine. So, all right, let's do this right. There's a lot of liquid in this thing, too. Maybe I'll do it like this. All right. Where do the scissors go? Here they are. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I hope this works. Don't want to puncture the bag. And oh, good. There we go. It worked. Haha. And I did not make a mess, too. Nice. Now I can throw this out. Yay. Did not get beef juice all over the place. Oh, I can smell that. Oh, yeah. Okay. The only problem is right now is it's all kind of folded up. Which I suppose would not be a problem. However, all right, now that this is in the bag, let's do this. Try to spread this out if I can. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, now that I've done that, let's get it back in the bucket. Yeah. And now comes the part where I have to be sure I don't spill it. Which means, okay, get this, adjust this a little more, that's better. All right. I am not a professional, folks. I demonstrate that every week. Okay, all right. Here's hoping I do this without spilling it. You know, I'm out debating whether I should just scoop it in. That actually worked better than I thought. Yay, it worked. And there's no residue on the inside of this pot, too. So that means the salt did dissolve. All right. Okay. There we go. Look at that. It worked. Ha-ha. But, of course, that's why I keep it in a bucket, just in case something happens. All right, now that we've done that, all we have to do is twist this around. Okay, there's still some air in this. Let's redo this. Try to press some more air out of the bag, if possible. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Yay. With that. Aha! We managed to get it into a knot. Success! And we did it! Haha! There it is! Excuse me again. The brisket is in the brine, which means now all we have to do is set it and forget it. All right. Yay, that means all we have to do now is get this thing into the fridge. I've got to make a little bit of room in the fridge, but not much. Okay, because... Yeah. I have been storing this pork loin on a, on this platter while I've been using it each day. Okay. I don't trust myself. All right, that's a little better. It's time to head over to the fridge. And get this in. All right. The other pork loin. Maybe I'll just, I think I'll do that for now. Let's lay this one up here. Trying not to get in the way of the camera. There we go. Let's see if that fits. Other than bumping the camera. Okay, that means the last thing is put this back in. And we did it. Oh, there we go. Yay. I'm sorry, I see what's going on now. Oh, yes. Hello, VL XXX. All right, no coughing, toasted spices, no mess when unpackaging the brisket, no spill pouring the brine. Yeah, I know. Somehow, things actually managed to work. It's all in the fridge now, which means all we have to do is wait for 2 weeks. Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks a lot, Val's Black Cat's rule. Yeah, that's not good. Something else will happen. What? Are you saying that that chaos tends to happen on this channel? Nah, never. Why would you ever think that? Because I know it seems like sometimes if there's a way to mess things up, I will discover it. But it somehow seemed to work. Thank goodness. And believe me, I am not complaining about that. Even though this channel is called Cast Iron Chaos, sometimes there's a little bit too much chaos here for my liking. So yeah, I am quite happy with how this has turned out. Because, well, not to mention the fact that I paid all that money for that brisket, and I actually managed to do this and didn't ruin it. That means in 2 weeks we are going to have ourselves one heck of a corned beef and cabbage. So yeah, I am really looking forward to it. Okay, having done that, all right, let's take a look at some cast iron now as we pass time for the next few minutes or so at least. Once again, here is the Lodge, and here is the BSNR. Now, the Lodge I didn't even use. I can put this right back. This one will have to be cleaned off, but that's really not difficult at all. You know what? Hey, there's something to do. How about we clean a cast iron pan? All right. As for this, get this over here. All right. So, fortunately, this is just going to require nothing more than a quick rinse. The toasted spices did leave a little bit of a residue, which means, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Time to break out the old chainmail scrubber. All right. Let's head over to the sink. Turn our, I've got some hot and cold water. I see videos every so often where people put this thing on, people put their cast iron pans under cold water while that thing is still smoking hot. Don't do that, folks. And I hope you know the reason why. Fortunately, this is cooled off to the point where I can easily hold it in my hands. All we have to do is give it a quick. I'm barely using any effort at all with this scrubber here. Of course, this was an easy dish to prepare anyway, so hardly requires any effort at all to clean up. And there we go. Here is our BSNR number 10. Head back to the stove, and here's the part where I do turn the heat up. Lately I have been doing this, namely that I am actually going to heat this up so that it is just beginning to smoke, so that we're getting up to maybe about the usual temperature that you would cook with or sear a steak with. And then I'm going to rub it with Crisco, and essentially what I'm hoping is this will help add on to the seasoning. So far, I've liked the results from doing this. Yes, it can crack a pan with a hot pan in cold water. Yes, exactly. So, chainmail. Yeah, this chainmail scrubber, for the record, is going on 13, maybe even 14 years old. I think 13. I think it was in 2013. I received this as a Christmas present. And admittedly, I have been treating it carefully, and I have done my best not to abuse it, in that the only thing I use it for is cleaning cast iron, no other uses. So as a result, 13 years later, this chainmail scrubber is still just about as good as new. All of the links are intact. None of them are broken. So I'm quite happy with that. And yes, I do use this chainmail scrubber almost every day. So there again is proof that yes, you can use metal on cast iron. Don't be afraid of it. It's cast iron. It's almost indestructible. The almost part is where a lot of people, let me see something on the surface. The almost part is where a lot of people hesitate. And that's why you still see people today saying you should only use wooden utensils or silicone utensils on cast iron, because after all, you could damage the seasoning. Yes, you can. But that's the thing about cast iron seasoning. You can always re-season it. I mean, if you scratch the seasoning, no big deal. Just add some more seasoning to it, and you're good to go. So I am not afraid of doing that. Probably the biggest fear, no, probably the biggest risk to your cast iron that there is would be dropping it on the floor and cracking it or breaking the handle. That is probably the most likely thing that can happen with a cast iron pan. Another possibility, of course, is warping it. Excuse me. But even that, oh, by the way, notice though, this one is indeed a spinner. But it was like that when I got it. However, you can still use a warped cast iron pan, which is what I'm doing right now with this, in fact. All right. My number 10 new Lodge and unmarked Wagner pans fit in my stainless steel 2-compartment sink. Well, there you go. You got a good place to store them then. Bilbo would use a mithril chainmail scrubber. Well, I'm not sure if he would, considering how valuable mithril was. Mithril was a really unique mystical type of silver that I believe it only came from the mines of Moria. In fact, I don't believe anywhere else in Middle Earth was able to supply mithril. I sometimes wonder if mithril was actually the result of the Balrog fleeing Thangorodrim and what happened when he dove into the earth to hide. But that's another story. Okay. Following information is for all you cooks. Brown eggs take a more aggressive way. Check on the CK on the shell to break them versus white eggs. I try to use brown eggs exclusively, largely because because I grew up with the saying, brown eggs are local eggs and local eggs are fresh. So I was always taught that brown eggs were much more difficult to spoil than white eggs. So that is one reason why I do prefer brown eggs. I do believe brown eggs are more durable than white eggs as well. But there we can get into an argument over farm-grown or home-grown eggs versus commercially produced eggs and other fun things like that. The swirl marks on my pans aren't bothered by my metal utensils. Yes, that's because even those swirl marks are still iron. Excuse me. And furthermore, the swirl marks would be covered by seasoning as well, so that also helps to protect it. At least that would be my theory. All right. Some people don't use metal because they don't want to scratch the swirl marks. Oh, yes, that's what you were referring to. All right. My eggs don't stay around that long anyway. Well, there is that too. Living by myself, I go through food a lot slower, so I do have to consider things spoiling, which is one reason why I'm glad as well that I was able to get that whole corned beef, that whole brisket into the brine anyway. Because it means I'm going to have to use it all. Also, the homemade corned beef, in some instances, I have left it in the brine for as long as a month after St. Patrick's Day before I actually used it. It did not spoil because, again, that's the whole point of the curing. It keeps it from spoiling. On the other hand, keeping it in the brine that long did tend to make it incredibly salty. So I might consider that once this is once I'm done curing this corned beef, I'm not going to put it back into the brine. I will simply cut it into pieces and probably freeze the other parts for when I actually use them. My brother had ducks until the coyote ate them. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. They laid the tastiest eggs. Ooh, I don't think I've ever had duck eggs. Wouldn't mind trying it. All right. Anyway, once this thing gets hot enough for me to actually grease it up, I'd say we are getting onto that time there. Because we've accomplished what we set out to do, and I'm still as surprised as everybody that we managed to do that without any major mishaps. Of course, here I am talking that I've got an open flame yet, and I'm about to heat this cast iron pan to somewhere around 500 degrees. So there is still the possibility for some chaos to take place. Don't worry, folks. In fact, right now, let me get out my temperature gun. Oh, we are at that point already. That didn't take long at all. I'm still not used to how fast this gas stove heats up cast iron, which means here's what I do next. Number one, get out the glove. Okay, get out my rag. Of course, I have a particular rag for greasing my pans. I'm pretty sure everybody does. I keep some Crisco right by the stove, and this is only for greasing my cast iron. I do not cook with this Crisco. All right, turn off the heat. Use the glove and wipe. Hopefully you can see the smoke that this is making. My hope is that because I've heated this pan on so hot, that I'm hoping that I'm actually burning on a little bit of extra seasoning onto this pan. So it's not just greasing it. I should hopefully be burning a little bit of the Crisco onto it. Of course, probably why you're seeing the smoke. So that way, I'm not only greasing this pan, I'm also reinforcing the seasoning. At least that's my hope. But nonetheless, we've got a nice, clean, shiny cast iron pan here. Yay. Not a bad way to end this, I think. Yeah, it's called utensil marks, yeah. I'm really rough on my cast iron. Still cooks great meals if you want, but yeah, use it as my focus. That's a good way to see it hobo cooked. No complaints about that at all. All right, how they use the utensils? You'd need to be pretty aggressive. Yes, exactly. Okay, and as I said, I do believe we are at the end of it because we are getting to that time. And like I said, we've done everything here. And yeah, I'm happy with how this evening turned out. I've had some disappointing results on some of our live videos, but this one, as I said, did everything I had hoped. And as you pointed out already, somehow managed to do this without screwing things up too. I mean, I opened up the corned beef. I opened up the brisket without making a mess. I didn't burn the spices. I got that thing in. I got that brisket into the bag without. Did I just say that? Without making a mess. I actually managed to pour in the brine without making a mess, and it is now in the fridge, which means once again, all we need to do now is wait. And yes, I am still encouraging everybody, give this a try. Not only is it fun, you will end up with some of the best corned beef you've ever had. Or alternately, just go and put some spices together, toast them up, and use those spices to cook your corned beef when the time comes. And I've already gone over that, but yes, I highly, highly recommend it. It will really improve your corned beef to the point where people will actually look forward to corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day. You know, it's not like just, oh, it's St. Patrick's Day. That means I have to make corned beef and cabbage. Oh, boy. No, in this case, you're going to look forward to it because I certainly do. It even makes the cabbage taste good. I mean, as long as you use a lot of spices in the cabbage, and I like to use a lot of vinegar in my cabbage too. But when you do that, even the cabbage is delicious. I'm drooling already just thinking about it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to St. Patrick's Day, and I really hope you folks are too. Even if you don't make corned beef and cabbage, of course, you can always make, well, really whatever you want to make for St. Patrick's Day, because of course the real point is having fun. Why? I mean, if it's not fun, why do it? If it's not fun, you might as well just order Chinese or McDonald's or Wendy's or something like that on St. Patrick's Day. But rather, I'm looking forward to having fun. And I hope you folks are. And I hope you've been entertained as well by my little efforts here tonight, because that's just it. I mean, I'm having fun doing this. And largely it's because you folks here on these live chats are a big reason why I have a lot of fun doing this. I love your comments. I love having these conversations as these things take place. Somebody mentioned how I seem to just talk on and on and on, but that's just me having fun because, like I said, I try not to have any dead air or dead space in these videos, and I can only hope you do find that entertaining. Let's see here, and thank you as well to Kimberly Miller too, and thank you too to William Hurt. And I'm not here often, but it has been fun. Well, thank you so much, Hobo Cook. Yeah, see you all soon, exactly, because we will be doing this again. And I'll figure out how to get a hold of you some point. And oh yeah, green beer. Yeah, you can certainly do that too. Have yourself some green beer or Guinness or whatever you want to have on St. Patrick's Day. And yeah, that's one other thing too. I braise my corned beef in beer. I don't use water because, again, that really helps the flavor. But that's all going to be happening in another 2 weeks. Until then, well, here it is once again, Wednesday evening. We are past hump day. Time to get ready for the rest of the week and then the weekend. So I have to go to bed soon, and I'm sure other folks do too. So it's time once again. So I can only say thank you to everybody again and I do hope you've enjoyed this, because we'll be seeing you all again next week when on another Cast Iron Wednesday. Well, I'll have to figure out something. Excuse me, but so far I've usually been able to. We'll see what happens next week. Until then, well, once again, thank you everybody for watching, and see you next Wednesday.